So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Ahead on American Sunrise, so long Swalwell. The California Democrat announcing his resignation from Congress after sexual misconduct allegations. Reaction from his alleged victims straight ahead this morning. Plus, show me the money, lots of it. Washington's debt crisis is crossing a major threshold as federal interest costs are projected to top $1 trillion this year. That's just the interest. Will Congress act? And later, the China factor. President Trump puts Beijing on notice when it comes to Iran. Don't help the radical clerics or else. Is China playing with fire? And what punishment has the president come up with? Those stories and more as American Sunrise starts on a Tuesday right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Emily Finn, filling in today for Dr. Gina, live from West Palm Beach. Let's bring in David Brody in Washington, D.C., and Terrance Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, you guys. If I can, to start out the show here, it was my mom's birthday yesterday, and I always joke and say that she is the biggest fan of American Sunrise. She wakes up with us every morning. So, hi, Mom. Happy birthday to you.
Aw,
Happy birthday,
Emily's mom. Hello.
Appreciate that, you guys. Yeah, she, like I said, is the biggest fan. She's with us every morning. I don't think she's missed a single show. So big birthday shout out to you, Mom.
We will Venmo her. We are going to Venmo her right away.
All right, David's going to Venmo for me, but I'm going to definitely send lots of love and happy birthday wishes to your mom, Emily. That is so cool. Big hugs, Mama Emily. All right, guys, so look, let's, yeah, right, how you doing?
Yeah,
So
that was
let's get
kind
to
of
the big
weird. I don't know
story
what
of
I
the
was
day.
doing there. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Eric Swalwell. ... I could.
What a
just end it
transition.
there,
Thank
and we
you,
could-
T. Bates.
Right, yeah. I'm sorry that we went from your mom's birthday to Eric Swalwell and the craziness
Womp
that
womp.
he's done. But he has announced that he's going to resign from Congress. Obviously, he already dropped out of the California gubernatorial race. We talked about that yesterday. He faces several sexual assault allegations. His accusers have even come forward and done some interviews with CBS News. Here's just a little bit of what they're saying.
The fact that he has now dropped out of the governor's race and resigned from Congress, is that justice in your view?
No, it's just the beginning. It's just the very beginning. And I know personally that we're not walking away from this fight.
For me, justice won't be until he can't ever harm a woman ever again, and he has faced the consequences for the women that he has harmed.
I think in regards to the governor's race, he never should have ran for governor to begin with, knowing the kind of history and receipts that are out there. So that's a non-starter. And then in terms of Congress, I think he absolutely should have resigned. I think we just prevented another 30 to 40 years potentially of him harming people if he were to stay in Congress.
Again, at this point, these are just allegations, but the allegations seem to have merit, particularly in terms of how Eric Swalwell has responded, Emily.
Yeah, good for these women. Very brave of them to come forward and share their stories. I know that is certainly not easy. Even what I've been seeing on social media, so many people, in the know in D.C. have been saying that this was just an open secret with this guy. A lot of people knew about this, and people were surprised that it took so long for it to come forward in the first place. So, David, we'll see how everything plays out for Swalwell here.
Yeah, and that's pretty sad that a lot of people knew and didn't say a darn word, number one. Number two, welcome to the facade of Washington, where you say one thing and do another in private. And so, this is Eric Swalwell was a big, he was out there with the hashtag Me Too movement back in the day, if you will. I think he's talked a lot about sexual assault victims as it relates to standing up for their rights and wanting justice. But instead of being hashtag Me Too, it's actually hashtag Him Too. He's been involved, apparently, allegedly. Let me say that in all caps in this. But clearly, this is part of the Washington parlor game. And sadly, it's not a game at all.
Yeah. And it seems to indicate some of what we also saw with the Epstein files, that these power brokers, political power brokers, or other rich people who have power just think that they can do anything and will get away with it, that no one will say anything. And unfortunately, for way too long, no one has said anything. So hopefully this will start a trend of people being held accountable for their actions.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the behavior that's being alleged is just really icky, just really gross. I think it's time to check out today's Bible verse, get this thought out of our head. Today's Bible verse comes from Hebrews chapter 6, verse 19, and says, "This hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, in which enters the presence behind the veil." Beautiful way to start the day. All right, Senate Majority Leader John Thune is saying that the U.S. operations against Iran have been effective, but warns a clear exit strategy is now needed. Lawmakers are increasingly calling for a plan to wind down the conflict and ensure long-term stability in the region. Without a defined endgame, support in Congress could waver as the conflict continues. Let's now bring in Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator, thank you for being with us this morning. What would you like to see happen here?
One of the things we need to be certain that we take care of as we look at dealing with DHS funding this week, we need to move forward with the reconciliation bill. We're going to solve this funding issue just the same way we did the big, beautiful bill, working families tax cuts. We're going to do it through reconciliation. We can pass it with 51 votes, and we can get that across the finish line. And the important thing is we're going to be able to fund DHS for the rest of President Trump's term, and probably even beyond that. And then once we've done DHS funding, we're going to move on to dealing with FISA and that reauthorization that should come out of the House on Wednesday. And we're going to continue to support the efforts that are taking place in Iran to make certain that we no longer have this country that is the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Senator, let me ask you about Iran before we get to some of the other news of the day. Obviously, we've got the blockade in place, but we also have the 60-day congressional limit, if you will, coming up here in about a few weeks as it relates to whether or not Congress should be able to authorize war actions. Where do you see the 60-day threshold going? Because at that point, if it goes past 60 days, this White House is going to have to be under more scrutiny than they are right now.
Yeah, I think that what you'll see is this will finish out. The president has been very specific about what has to happen here, and they have to give up their nuclear stockpiles. They have to open the Strait of Hormuz. They have to remove the ability to produce any of these ballistic missiles. And that's something that not only the U.S., but our allies want to see. I think it would be helpful if our our allies if NATO would be more supportive. And, blocking the Strait of Hormuz is something that affects the price of crude all around the world. When you look at a nuclear-armed Iran, that would be impossible, not only for the region, but also you look at Europe, you look at the threat to the U.S. It would be impossible to deal with them. So having them give up that uranium is going to be an imperative.
Congresswoman, I'd like to shift gears just a little bit to this USA Today headline, which reads, 5 arrested in connection to $267 million California hospice fraud. The back story here is that 14 hospice companies purchased medical information for non-California residents. The bigger picture is the fraud that's happening both in state government as well as the federal government being defrauded. What's being done about this? What more needs to be done in order to make sure that our American taxpayer dollars are safer?
Yes, and Vice President Vance has already uncovered $6 billion in fraud. And as you all know, when you have a 10-year budget, that equates to a $60 billion savings out of that budget document. Now, my Fraud Accountability Act would implement a deportation hearing against any illegal alien, visa holder, permanent resident who commits fraud against any level of government, local, state, federal, and also against U.S. citizens. When you look at fraud and some of these scams that are taking place, defrauding the taxpayer, defrauding citizens, and then what you've seen in Minnesota, Illinois, New York, and California with the hospice fraud, people are saying, we knew it was happening, we just did not know how bad it was. And I think that now people are beginning to, one of the main calls we get in our office is from people that are saying, hey, have you looked here or have you looked there? And have you paid attention to the fraud that may be occurring through different programs? I'm glad that citizens are engaged in this. They are reporting nonprofits, they're reporting government agencies that they think are either wasting money, abusing taxpayer dollars, or are committing fraud.
Senator, before we let you go, we do want to get your take on this headline from Just the News. It says the GAO warns rising deficit could push annual interest payments on the national debt past $1 trillion. Fiscal year 2025, Treasury Department reported roughly $9.1 trillion in maturing debt. There's been an increase in federal borrowing. Want to get your take on all of this. There's a website you could go to watch our national debt just tick up and up and up. It's pretty scary.
It is indeed very scary. And I have said for years, we need a balanced budget amendment and we need to change this budget process so that we're being good stewards of the taxpayers' money. It is just immoral, in my opinion, that we are pushing this debt onto our children and grandchildren, because when you see what the interest will be, then you know that that is going to be such a burden for them when you're spending more on your debt than you are on the nation's security and providing for the common defense. That should cause you alarm. This is why we need to get inside. Many of these programs continue to conduct rescissions to eliminate programs that have outlived their usefulness and make certain that we are not seeing as much as $500 billion a year go out the window in fraud. Look at that interest payment, and then what they estimate is as much as $500 billion in fraud. That is all taxpayer money that is coming into the Treasury, and it is imperative that we deal with these issues.
It is. Senator Marsha Blackburn, we so appreciate you joining our show. Thank you for your time this morning.
Happy to join you.
Thanks, Senator Blackburn.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, we check out the hottest headlines from the RAV newsroom with T. Bates. And later, is the special relationship cracking? Trump's Iran port blockade moves forward as Britain declines to join, raising new questions about strains in the U.S.-UK alliance. We have expert analysis soon on American Sunrise. Stay with us.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with clinically supported ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to buygopills.com and receive 15% off your entire order.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
That is the White House. It is going to be a beautiful day in Washington, D.C. I mean, it's always swampy, but the weather's going to be nice. It's going to be 90 degrees tomorrow, I believe, FYI. Welcome back, folks, to, what's the name of the show? Just kidding. I know, American Sunrise. I'm old. I'm not that old. I'm not Joe Biden. And you know who else isn't Joe Biden? T. Bates. He's standing by with the latest headlines from the Real America's Voice newsroom, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can right the course of America.
Pakistan is calling for a second round of talks between the United States and Iran after this weekend's negotiations yielded no result. Vice President J.D. Vance, who led the U.S. delegation, says while Iran, quote, moved in our direction during the sit-down, the Islamic Republic refused to agree to terms related to the removal of nuclear waste and material and mechanisms to ensure uranium cannot be enriched in the future. Vance believes the Iranian negotiators just weren't able to cut a deal during the talks because they needed to get approval from others in Tehran. An agreement could come before the end of the current 2-week ceasefire if the two sides in fact meet again, as Pakistani officials are encouraging. On Monday, President Trump also taking an optimistic view of what is to come.
Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal. There'll never be a deal. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the dust back. We'll get it back. Either we'll get it back from them or we'll take it.
Happening today in the nation's capital, Israeli and Lebanese officials are scheduled to begin ceasefire talks there. However, Hezbollah is encouraging Lebanese leaders to cancel those talks. Congress is back in D.C. following a 2-week Easter and spring recess. Monday's return came with a shakeup in both parties as embattled California Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell resigned following sexual assault and misconduct allegations. The move comes after the seven-term representative dropped out of the California gubernatorial race and then caved to bipartisan pressure to give up his seat. The House Ethics Committee had also launched an investigation into the California Democrat. While the resignation would have been a windfall for Republicans when it comes to the balance of power in the House, it turned out to be a stalemate as Texas Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez announced his retirement from office on Monday. Gonzalez had already said that he would not seek re-election after acknowledging an affair with a staff member who later killed herself. The Texas announcement came as he also was facing calls for expulsion similar to Swalwell. Well, in case you happen to miss it, President Trump is out with a statement about this now infamous artificial intelligence picture that he posted on Truth Social. Here's a full screen look at the photo. Take a little bit of time to look at it. All right, now that you've had a minute to take it all in, here's what the president has to say about it.
I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support, and only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
That photo has now been removed from President Trump's Truth Social account. We'd really love to hear from you, though. What are your thoughts? Head on over to Getter, Rumble, or YouTube. Let us know what you make of the president's explanation. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now, let's get a quick check of your forecast. Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony standing by with more on what you can expect. By the way, go to our various social media platforms as well, Getter, Rumble, and YouTube, as I just said. Let us know where you're hanging out, and Tracy might hook you up with a hometown forecast. You just never know. Anyway, Tracy, good morning.
Hey, good morning. You know what, Terrance, I got a little game for you today.
Okay.
David Brody was talking about how warm it's going to be in D.C., and I wanted to see if you knew how warm it's going to be in other areas of the country. So, who will be hotter?
Ready to play. Let's go.
Yeah, let's see if you can do this. Who will be hotter, D.C. or Chicago?
I would say D.C. for sure.
Okay, you're going to be right with that one. Chicago, you're going to be up at 80 degrees for the day today. How about this one? D.C. or Dallas?
Dallas. This time of year, Dallas. I'm going to go with Dallas. Am I wrong?
It looks like D.C. is going to be 5 degrees warmer than even Dallas.
Wow.
Okay. What about Phoenix? D.C. or Phoenix?
I don't want to play anymore. I got one wrong. I don't want to play anymore. Okay, Dallas or D.C. or Phoenix? Come on, it's Phoenix. It's the middle of the desert. If D.C. is hotter than Phoenix, I can't imagine. Really?
I jumped the gun with this one, yeah, but 79 degrees in Phoenix. Phoenix is actually going to be quite a bit cooler. Now, last one. D.C. or Tampa?
All right, I'm going with D.C. at this point. I think there's a theme here, so I'm going to go with D.C.
You know what? This one's actually kind of a trick question because they're going to be tied, but 89 degrees. I had to get you somewhere. 89 degrees, though. It's going to be hot. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be soupy. And D.C. is going to get up into the 90s by tomorrow. So it's going to be a warm week, and we're talking record potential out across the Mid-Atlantic. We're going to be breaking records through the weekend. So, Terrance, it's going to be extremely warm, so find ways to stay cool.
Well, if you're in D.C., go hang out at Haynes Point today, especially since it's going to be warm. Haynes Point is going to be popping. I'm sure a lot of people hanging out there. Tracy, good to see you. Appreciate it. And I guess I went 1 for 3. Not so good there. We'll try again next time. Thanks, Tracy.
Yep, I'll have your hometown forecast next.
All right, thank you. Up next, will there be a deal between the United States and Iran? More on the push for a second round of talks as the 2-week ceasefire comes to an end. That's ahead.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
That is the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Did I say it's going to be 90 degrees in D.C., like I think tomorrow? It is going to be hot. Not hotter than hell, but it's going to be hot. Okay, I don't know where that was going exactly. Welcome back to American Sunrise. A possible second round of talks is being considered after weekend negotiations between the United States and Iran failed to reach an agreement. That's according to reports. President Trump is reportedly open to resuming in-person talks if Iran meets U.S. demands, possibly before a ceasefire deadline, or if it is extended. Pakistan has reportedly offered Islamabad as a venue again. Oh my gosh, Oy Gavolt, for renewed negotiations, while Turkey is also said to be helping mediate. Oh, double Oy Gavolt. Okay, yeah, bring Erdogan in for a neutral observer. For more, let's bring in the president of Iris Independent Research, Dr. Rebecca Grant. Dr. Grant, I'm literally having cathartic reactions as I read the prompter, like in real time. I'm like melting down. Erdogan coming in to help? Yeah, okay, that's, don't get me started. Anyhow, I don't really have much of a question other than just simply, are we really going to go back to Islamabad and deal with these radical Shia clerics again? They want death. What's going on? What am I missing? Help me.
We've seen everybody short of China offering to host peace talks, and who knows what they may have in the works. You know, I think as definitive as J.D. Vance's Saturday night statements were, he clearly left that BAFO, best and final offer, on the table. There's reporting that suggests that they were bickering over how long to put the nuclear moratorium on. So I think most of all, President Trump always leaves the door open for negotiations. And the pressure, of course, is coming from this U.S. naval blockade or impoundment of the Iranian ports. And then also having all the U.S. military options there still in place. Aircraft carriers, USS Tripoli, fighters, bombers, you name it, ready to go as needed.
All right, since you brought up the blockade, let's go there. I did have another question about the ongoing negotiations, but let's talk blockade as well, because there's some interesting storylines here as well. For instance, the UK is not supporting the U.S.-Iran blockade, as France's Macron also confirming a multinational talk on the Strait of Hormuz, even though no one really wants to get involved. The United Kingdom is one of the first countries to say that it's not going to help. The United Kingdom and France are supposed to co-host this conference that's aimed at restoring navigation throughout the Strait of Hormuz, even though, again, they say that they don't want to get involved in the blockade, yet they want to have talks. Help me make sense of this.
Another stumble for Britain and France. And hey, you know what? Too late. Here's the rules of the road down in the Hormuz Strait. If you're a legit cargo coming out of UAE or Saudi, you're fine. Bring up VHF Channel 16, monitor your channel, check in with the U.S. Naval Forces. You're good to go. If you are anywhere near an Iranian port, we're going to see where that ship is. We might grab you outside the port. We might wait till you're out in deeper waters in the Gulf of Oman, but you're in really big trouble. So what is left for Britain and France to do? Now, having said that, they could very much contribute P-8 radar planes. We have a lot of destroyers down there also helping make this work. There's plenty that Britain, France, Japan, South Korea could do. Remember, they did it all in the Red Sea a couple of years ago. So I don't know why they don't want to help. That's okay. U.S. Central Command's got it. Admiral Cooper's in charge.
Emily, if I could just add kind of a pseudo question, maybe even a bit rhetorical, isn't it adding insult to injury that the Brits and the French want to host this multinational conversation and negotiation, if you will, about the strait, yet they're not willing to send resources? Isn't that adding insult to injury?
Yes, way too late. They've been planning these talks for a couple weeks. Meanwhile, President Trump and our great U.S. Navy Marine Corps Joint Force just put everything in place to have a plan to really bottle up Iran and put the pressure on. So why did Britain have to say anything? Britain has sent a couple of fighter squadrons down to help the Gulf states with their air defense. They've done a good job, but Keir Starmer is getting a 0 on his public diplomacy.
Yes, ma'am.
I do want to shift gears to China here for a moment. President Trump is saying that China could face a 50% tariff if it is caught helping arm Iran. The warning follows reports that Beijing may be preparing to ship air defense systems to Tehran as tensions in the Middle East remain high. What do you make of this?
Unbelievable. And we've seen them ship things like sodium perchlorate to make missile fuel to Iran. Beijing cannot send them more of their FN-16 man pads. They can't send them anything. And we're not going to let Iran rebuild their air defense. The truth is, all China can do is watch as the U.S. Navy is now in control of the strait. Donald Trump is in control of the Strait of Hormuz. And China has a lot of tankers. You know, they're very oil dependent. They get 90% of their oil from ships. 74% of their oil they import, and a lot of it comes through the Strait of Hormuz. This is actually a great geopolitical win for the U.S. and for Trump against China. This really shows what the U.S. can do, and China really is powerless in a military sense here in regards to the strait.
Dr. Rebecca Grant, a.k.a. the voice of reason and clarity. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Grant.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, could catching and diagnosing ADHD earlier make a big difference in school? We're going to talk about what the new research is revealing. That is next on American Sunrise.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It is time now for today's health news, sponsored by the Wellness Company. Under the microscope today, new research suggests that earlier ADHD diagnosis is linked to better school outcomes. A study of more than 580,000 children in Finland found those diagnosed earlier were more likely to have higher grades, follow a more academic school track, and were less likely to drop out than those diagnosed later. Pediatric guidelines say children with academic or behavioral problems and ADHD symptoms should be evaluated, and school supports can help. All right, a groundbreaking new study shows that there is a safe and inexpensive potential cancer treatment, and it's a drug that many of us already know about. It's ivermectin. This new study shows that individuals who took ivermectin, the parasite-fighting medication that gained fame during the COVID pandemic, along with the drug mebendazole, saw remarkable results in their battles with cancer. This incredibly promising results have many Americans wondering where they can obtain U.S.-made ivermectin and mebendazole, and that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from TWC doctors all the time on this network, and you know that their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy. The Wellness Company is making 100% American-made ivermectin and mebendazole available to RAV viewers at an incredibly affordable price point. Say no to Big Pharma's greed and no to Big Pharma's poisons, and say yes to a company that you can trust to bring you safe, affordable, and effective treatments. If you or someone you love is interested in trying ivermectin and mebendazole, then I urge you to go to www.twc.health/RAV today and order. Again, that website is twc.health/RAV, and make sure to use the promo code RAV to save 10%. All right, let's now bring in the Chief Scientific Officer for the Wellness Company, Dr. Peter McCullough. Thank you for being with us this morning. So last week, the medical experts at the Wellness Company released a new study regarding the off-label use of ivermectin and mebendazole in the treatment of cancer. The results were overwhelmingly positive. Had there been studies previously that led you to believe that ivermectin and mebendazole would be effective?
Yeah, certainly both of these anti-infective agents have anti-cancer properties, as shown in the peer-reviewed literature. Separately, each one of these drugs reduces the proliferation of cancer cells by different mechanisms, drops the ability of the cancer to develop a new blood supply, and actually turns over the cancer cells so they self-terminate in a process called apoptosis. So this is very favorable. This is the first patient-reported outcome study. We have over 200 patients enrolled, over 100 completed the 6-month time frame, and overall the benefit, the net clinical benefit, was 84% positive.
Wow, that is incredible. 84% of participants having positive results from that ivermectin, mebendazole. Wow. Was this across all cancers and all demographics?
It was broadly solid tumor cancer. So the most common in men was a prostate. In women, it was breast. And then the third category was lung. And then there's smaller fractions of others. Now, a third were in remission. They stayed in remission. That's a win. A third had active disease, but it didn't progress. And actually, 16% of patients, the cancers improved, the cancers shrunk. Now, remember, this is on top of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, so this is an adjunct. But these are phenomenal results. I think this is a green light for the National Cancer Institute to do a large-scale prospective randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial.
Absolutely. Yeah, those results are very impressive. So what is the theory about how antiparasitic drugs like ivermectin could be effective in treating cancer? Are there ways that these drugs interact with the human body that could provide a clue as to how they could combat cancer? How does this actually work?
The mechanisms I've described, they don't directly kill cancer cells, but they dramatically reduce their ability to divide and spread. And so, as the immune system is finishing off cancer cells and then adjunctive chemotherapy, it clearly plays a role. It's probably not their anti-parasitic effects. Now, there are some parasites that directly cause cancer, like liver flukes causing liver cancer, forms of cholangiocarcinoma caused by intestinal parasites, and of course, Burkitt's lymphoma caused by the malaria parasite. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about kind of common cancers that Americans get. So this is an off-target effect of the drug. Patients gave their baseline information, they reported their follow-up information, they let their cancer doctors know they're using this drug appropriately off its FDA label, and the results were very, very gratifying.
Yeah, those results were, like I said, very impressive, those numbers. So why do you think the medical establishment and big pharmaceutical companies have been so uninterested in evaluating these low-cost options, these low-cost off-label drugs like ivermectin? It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. You're urging for more studies.
It's been crawling along in the cancer literature. So Cedars-Sinai, UCLA, has a small ivermectin advanced breast cancer trial. Johns Hopkins is studying mebendazole in brain cancers. Very slow to develop, I think, because the cancer centers have what's called CMS book-to-bill relationships with the drug companies. So the cancer centers make a profit on administering very expensive chemotherapy. They're not incented at all to develop and utilize inexpensive generics, particularly this combination, which is widely available to the public.
So for people who are interested in trying ivermectin and mebendazole, what do you recommend?
They certainly go to TWC and use the promo code RAV, and they enter the system, interact with a doctor online, let them know where they are. The drug interactions will be checked. Provided it's safe, cancer patients can buy ivermectin, mebendazole, and then, of course, talk to their cancer doctors about how to add it to their treatment program.
Absolutely. And for all of our viewers, that website and the promo code are at the bottom of your screen. Write that down. Make sure to go to twc.health/RAV. Dr. Peter McCullough, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you. We have a whole lot more coming up on American Sunrise. Conservatives are pushing back after a Republican congresswoman proposed immigration legislation that critics say would amount to amnesty. We'll break it all down next. Stay with us.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's now time to stay awake, not woke. And today we're discussing Eric Swalwell. Swalwell announced that he's planning to resign from Congress. The decision comes amid sexual misconduct allegations, bipartisan calls for his removal, and an ongoing House ethics investigation. Swalwell denies the most serious claims against him, but says that he's stepping down to avoid distracting from his congressional duties. The move, of course, follows his recent decision to suspend his campaign for California governor. Let's bring in Missouri Congressman Mark Alford to talk more about Swalwell and all other things congressional. Congressman, always good to see you.
Good to see you, Terrance.
All right, so I'm going to put words in your mouth. Eric Swalwell, good riddance? Question mark?
Exactly. This guy has been a thorn in the side of not just our body, the U.S. House of Representatives, but I think of America. Look, good riddance, Eric. Take your nasty shenanigans somewhere else. He has admitted to making mistakes. I think what happened once the Ethics Committee put out a memo, press release saying that they were going to investigate this, that means he would have to come before their body and testify or plead the fifth. And it looks like the evidence is mounting enough that he's a bad actor. And he did not want to implicate himself nor plead the fifth. And so it looks like from the tweet or X from Kash Patel today that they are still very interested, the FBI is, in talking with him. Look, whenever members are wrapped up in something like this, I do believe in due process. But I also believe if you're a member of the House of Congress and you have done something like this, and the allegations are this serious, where you have taken advantage, allegedly, of subordinates and possibly assaulted them, you need to go. And you need to put your district and the body and America ahead of yourself. And that doesn't matter what party you're in. I feel the same way about Tony Gonzalez, and he has decided to step aside as well. And I think that's the right thing to do. I wish he had done it a little bit earlier. But we are on the right track as we move into the appropriation season to get back on track of doing the business of America.
With Eric Swalwell's resignation, and you mentioned Tony Gonzalez, it's basically a stalemate for Democrats and Republicans when it comes to the balance of power. However, the United States wins, as hopefully decorum will be maintained in the body. Let's look forward to the midterms. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done even in advance of the midterms. What do you think the message is being sent, or what message is being sent to American voters leading up to the midterms in terms of the U.S. House really setting standards?
Well, look, I think that, we have lost decorum in the U.S. House of Representatives. In the 3 years I've been there, it's been a complete mess. I think we started with Kevin McCarthy taking 15 votes to get him hired as Speaker of the House, and then he gets fired 8 months later. And it's just been a constant battle. And with our slim majority, it's hard to do business. Hats off to Speaker Mike Johnson for getting things done. We got the One Big Beautiful bill done, which we are seeing real benefits from. We're seeing constituents getting refunds of $12,000, $15,000 that they have not gotten refunds in years. Kelly Loeffler, the administrator for the Small Business Administrator, was just in Kansas City yesterday visiting small businesses. We are on a roll in America. The economy is about to take off like a rocket ship, and I think that's going to portend well for the midterms.
You and your colleagues just getting back from a 2-week Easter/spring break. What work is on the docket? The first thing that comes to my mind is FISA reauthorization.
Yeah.
But what are you most anticipating working on with your colleagues?
Well, look, we've got to open the government back up. The Republicans in the House have voted 4 times, Terrance, 4 times to fully fund DHS. I think the way the Senate's going about it, I don't like it, how they're going to make a carve out for ICE and Border Patrol and get them funded. We've done it the right way. We've got to get the Save America Act passed. 84% of Americans agree with this. Election integrity across the United States of America, because if we don't have that, the elections in the midterm don't count. And we risk Republicans not turning out at the polls in November because they don't have confidence in their vote. We've got to get that passed. FISA reform. We're concentrating on the Appropriations Committee as well. We are going to have the most aggressive appropriations schedule that I've seen since I've been in Congress. We hope to get all 12 bills out of committee. We will get all 12 bills out of our committee by the end of June. Get those on the House floor, and we don't risk another Democrat shutdown if we get our work done. So a lot of important things to get done. We have very few days to do that. We're out for most of August. This is an election year, and we're out for a lot of October. And so we have a lot to do in a short time.
Congress, 2 of the issues you raised are really out of your hands. And when I say your hands, that will be the hands of the U.S. House and then the hands of the Senate. I'm just going to ask this. Do you resent the Senate a little bit right now that they're not able to get the job done? You guys have done your job. And again, I'm not trying to start anything, but real is real, Congressman. You guys have done your job, and the Senate is dragging its feet. Do you resent them a little bit?
Terrance, this is the way it's worked. Some say, well, this is the way the founding fathers designed it because they didn't want a lot of bills rushed through and made law that really didn't have thoughtful deliberation. But this has gone over the top, man. This is not the way that Congress should be working. I hear every day, well, you've got to really control the 3 branches of government. You Republicans, you got the House, you got the Senate, you have a conservative majority on the U.S. Supreme Court, and you got the White House. Why can't you get things done? It's the 60 votes in the Senate that we have to have. And unless senators are willing to, I think, do the right thing and vote for some of these measures, it's impossible to get that done. And I understand where they're coming from. They want to get back. Susan Collins is going to have a tough race this go around, and she has to appeal to a more moderate base that I don't have in Missouri. And so we want to get people back. We want to retain the majority. But what good is a majority if we don't get anything done?
Amen. We'll have to leave the conversation there because I got 15 more questions and not enough time. Congressman, always good to talk to you. All right.
Good seeing you, Terrance. Take care.
All right, you as well. Take care. Coming up, former Senator Ben Sasse opens up about his stage 4 cancer diagnosis and how faith is shaping his view of life and death. That inspiring moment after the break.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
God bless the USA.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. Time now for our moment of faith. It's brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. All right, in focus today, coping with death. A former Nebraska Senator, Ben Sasse, sat down with the New York Times columnist, Russ Douthat, and spoke about his stage 4 pancreatic cancer diagnosis and about facing death with faith and clarity. When you see this video, you'll see some of what he is going through for sure. Take a look.
I was incredibly blessed to be quickly at peace. I kept hearing the Pauline phrase, to live is Christ, to die is gain. And death is terrible. We should never sugarcoat it. It is not how things are meant to be. But it is great that death can be called the final enemy. It's an enemy, but it's a final enemy, and there will then be no more tears. I believe in the resurrection, and I believe in a restoration of this world. And so I did not feel great fear about my death. I didn't want the pain I was going through. I didn't want to be in the final moments.
You're doing okay right now with that.
I am doing
so far.
Oh, thank you.
Wowzer. Let's bring in pastor, author, filmmaker C.L. Bryant to discuss this more. Pastor Bryant, I'll just start with your reaction to that clip. Wow.
Well, it is amazing to see how a Christian faces death. And Ben Sasse is certainly showing how a Christian faces the unknown with his faith in the conqueror of death, hell, and the grave, and that is Jesus Christ. We all know that the final enemy of man, all of us Christians know the final enemy of man has been defeated. And there is no victory. There is no sting in it. And this is exactly the example that I thank God that is being able to be shown to the world as a Christian faces what is inevitable. Hebrews 9 tells us that it is an appointment that we all have. It is appointed unto man once to die, and then the judgment. There's a big theological discussion that we could have on that, but that's an appointment. And all of us, including Jesus Christ, I think Enoch was one who did not face death, but he walked with God. But just the same, it's an appointment that we have, and how we face that appointment, how we prepare for it, is just as important as how we live our lives. We're surrounded. Hebrews 11, I believe, 12. Hebrews 12 tells us we're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses that watch us, that watch us run our race. And Ben Sasse appears to be running the race with great Christian dignity. And I certainly trust that we all can witness how a Christian faces this type of adversity with the hope and the belief in our ultimate victory, in that Christ who has conquered death, hell, and the grave. Ben Sasse, we applaud you, my brother, and we certainly will take into account how you face the end of life.
Pastor Bryant, we have about 30 seconds. For those that are going through suffering right now, maybe some are in Ben Sasse's situation in their life. What is your message to them in about 30 seconds?
I faced it many times as a pastor. Over 35 years, I pastored churches. And the fear of the unknown is what I have observed to be the hardest part to face. However, I do want to remind everyone that before we were born into this world, we had no idea what was on the other side of mother's navel. We may have been aware, but if we do, we don't remember being aware of it. And so when we face going into the inevitable, we must face it like that, knowing that it is a continued existence. And Jesus Christ has already told us, if this were not so, I would have told you. But I have gone to prepare a place for you, that where I am, there you may be. Also, this is our blessed hope as Christians.
Pastor C.L. Bryant, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for having me.
All right. The second hour of American Sunrise in 2 minutes. Back in a moment.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, the Trump administration considering a second round of talks with the radical Islamist regime in Iran as U.S. naval forces begin their blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to have the details straight ahead. Plus, lawmakers returning to Washington this week after a 2-week break, with Democrats expected to push for motions to limit President Trump's military authority, among other issues. We're going to talk about what's next on the docket. I hope it's not renaming post offices. And later, a new poll showing growing doubts about the war with Iran, with most Americans saying it's not going well, many questioning whether there's a clear plan. Those stories and so much more as the second hour of American Sunrise starts pronto, right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from the swamp. Let's bring in Emily Finn, who's in for Dr. G in West Palm, a much nicer place. T. Bates in Denver. I lived in Denver for a while, or actually I worked in Denver, so I love it there too. Good morning, guys. Hey, T. Bates, let's dedicate this show to Emily's mom, shall we? I mean, Emily, as you said at the beginning, your mom having a wonderful day today. Talk about that. Good morning to you.
Good morning. That is so sweet. I'm sure she really appreciates that. I got a little text from her after the first hour. She was excited that her name came up during American Sunrise. Very cool. Thank you for that.
And now a second hour, girl, 2 hours in a row. Yeah, birthday girl, right? Yeah.
I'm not going to ask how many years. She's got to be 25, 26. I mean, you know, I can only imagine, Mom, 25, 26, you're doing a great job.
She was so young when she had me, yes.
Exactly. No judgment, Mom, no judgment whatsoever, but we appreciate you, and hopefully you've enjoyed your birthday week. We're going to let you celebrate all week. Hey, guys, so look, let's just get to a couple of big headlines of the day. Pakistan calling for a second round of talks between the United States and Iran after this weekend's negotiations yielded no result. Vice President J.D. Vance, who led the U.S. delegation, says while Iran, quote, moved in our direction during those sit-downs, the Islamic Republic refused to agree to terms related to the removal of nuclear material and mechanisms to ensure uranium cannot be enriched in the future. Vance believes the Iranian negotiators weren't able to cut a deal themselves during the talks because they need to get approval from others in Tehran. And a couple of members of Congress are stepping away amid misconduct claims. California Congressman Eric Swalwell announced his resignation on Monday following a House Ethics Committee investigation into allegations of sexual assault against the former Golden State Democrat. His departure gave House Republicans a short-lived boost, which quickly dissipated, when Texas Republican Tony Gonzalez announced his retirement. Gonzalez had already said that he wouldn't seek re-election after acknowledging an affair with a staff member who later killed herself. And President Trump is out with a statement about this now infamous artificial intelligence picture he posted on Truth Social. There it is. Here's a full screen look at the photo. Take a second to peruse it. And now that you've had a minute to see it for yourself, here's the Commander-in-Chief's assertion of what this is all about.
I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support, and only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
By the way, that photo has since been removed from President Trump's Truth Social account. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now let's get a quick check of your forecast. Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony standing by with your hometown forecast. Tracy, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Terrance. We are starting off in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. So we had Sol on Rumble ask for West Nebraska. So Scottsbluff is one of the bigger towns that is in that direction. But 64 degrees today, a few raindrops possible. They're going to be warming up to the mid-70s, but then another cold front coming through, dropping them back down to the 40s. So look at these roller coaster temperatures over the next couple of days. Now we're going to head out to Ocala, Florida. I love love Ocala, Florida. This is a great town, and they've got a beautiful forecast. Temperature is going to be in the 90s. Overnight temperature is staying in the 50s and 60s. Hey, hard to beat that forecast there. And then heading out to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is where the weather is going to shake up a little bit more. This coming in on Getter from Jack Dunn. He said he's visiting Milwaukee here this week. Are bracing for more strong to severe thunderstorms, and that's going to stick around through the rest of the day today. So very important to stay weather aware. It's Milwaukee, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, Chicago, Detroit, Toledo, all under that enhanced risk for strong to severe thunderstorms. We are talking significant winds. We're talking significant hail potential and significant tornado potential. So it's the heat that's sticking around across the southeast and the Mid-Ohio Valley that's really fueling a lot of these storms. So St. Louis, 90 degrees, all the way up through D.C. We've been talking about going to be 88, and then David Brody's going to be feeling those temperatures in the 90s by tomorrow and Thursday. So definitely want to find ways to stay cool here across the southeast the next couple of days.
All right. Thanks so much, Tracy. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day.
Yep. Don't forget to download the Weather Nation app, too, for all your severe weather updates.
Absolutely. All right, let's get you over to David Brody now, who, since it's warm in D.C., is going to be walking around with sandals and socks. Don't do it with the socks, David, but I know you will be. Those black socks all the way up to your knees in the sandals. I see you doing that.
Look, I might be that guy in the suburbs, but I'm not that guy in the suburbs. And by the way, Tracy, on the 90 degrees or whatever, my hair doth protest. I just want to say, I want to be very clear about that. Not a big fan of humidity. All right, T. Bates, second round of talks between Washington and Tehran, now under consideration at least, after the first high-level meeting in Pakistan ended without a breakthrough. Sources say discussions are still in the early stages. Possible locations include Geneva, maybe New Jersey, just kidding, or a return to Islamabad. No final decision has been made on whether the talks will move forward. All right, so joining us now with analysis is the analysis-in-chief. He's also the editor-in-chief for Just the News. That'd be John Solomon. John, all right, great to see you. So really, we're going to do talks again. Listen, if I'm J.D. Vance, first of all, I'm going back. If I'm going back to Islamabad, let me give him a quick little pro tip. Go commercial and get the frequent flyer miles.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good piece of advice. Hey, listen, there's an old song in the Broadway show, Oklahoma. Anything you can do, I can do better. And I think that's what Donald Trump's doing. You want to blockade the Hormuz Strait? Wait till I blockade it, because you know what's going to happen now? Iran's going to keep drilling oil. At some point soon, their tanks are going to be full, and all of a sudden they'll have nowhere for that oil to go. And their wells will start bringing up brackish water, and they will be brought to an extraordinary halt. Once that brackish water gets involved in the wells are ruined. There are weeks and months of repair that have to happen. Donald Trump knows that that is Iran's ticking time bomb, that their sole source of funds right now would actually become a liability the second those tanks start filling up. And so they're about 60%, 70% full right now. In 3 to 4 weeks, they're going to be in a major crisis all across their oil industry. And that's what Donald Trump is planning on. That sand clock ticking down and putting incredible pressure on Iran. Now, there are signs that Iran is starting to warm up to the notion of some of the things that Donald Trump wants. Yesterday, there were reports that Iran offered 5 years to give up its nuclear ambition. We said 20. I bet you, as those oil wells get a little more full and the crisis of the oil industry becomes more extreme in Iran, that number is going to keep going up from 5 to 10 to 15. And Donald Trump probably will get a 20-year reprieve on Iran nuclear development, which really moves it a generation ahead without any chance of it stepping up. And meanwhile, Russia has offered to come in and take the uranium that was enriched by Iran and get it out of the country, which creates a comfortable exit for Iran, someone they trust to go do it. We'll have to trust and verify, because we're always a little dubious of both Iran and Russia. But all of these things are shaping up in the backgrounds. And meanwhile, the violence has remained down. There is really no fighting going on right now. The ceasefire held, even though the talks broke off. That tells me Iran is in a negotiating sort of mind right now.
John, I know there's so many stories that you guys are covering over there at Just the News, but I do want to kind of stay here on the Iranian issue, specifically the timeline. President Trump, unfortunately, is running out of time. We're up against that 60-day window. He still has a couple more weeks, but it's coming up. And so something definitive needs to happen for to allow the president, if you will, to act unilaterally. Otherwise, Congress starts getting in it, and then you've got way too many voices in the whole conversation.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's another sand clock that is ticking down. The president could have let that 60-day window end, keep the assets in place, but not have any attacks, start a new 60-day window based on some act that Iran takes. And so it can be extended out. I don't think President Trump's worried about that. I think this pause was designed to run out a 60-day window with the chance of no more military action for a while, and that will basically reset the clock. Iran, if it were to do something terrible, we'd restart the clock, and that would give the president another 62 days based on another 60 days based on a new episode of Iranian violence. I actually think there's some optimism both inside the Trump world and in the Pakistan, Qatar world, where our middlemen, our negotiators are there, that Iran, despite all its rhetoric, is moving towards something that eventually the Trump administration can accept. Now, it's very tender. There's a lot of things that could go wrong and sideways on this, but there have been cool heads. I think the first talks, even though they didn't get to where they wanted to go, created a rapport. And the idea that there's a discussion about another round of talks is probably a good sign.
Yeah. John, we appreciate it. We're running up against the clock here, but you've got breaking so much news at justthenews.com. Sure. You want to give us 10 seconds of just like give people a teaser?
Yeah, wash, rinse, repeat. We saw it in what happened with Russia collusion. It happened in Ukraine impeachment. Ukraine impeachment is Russia 2.0. We now have proof the chief accuser was flagged for bias, inaccuracy, and hearsay. None of that got to President Trump's impeachment team. Once again, the American public was dragged through a scandal manufactured by the Intelligence Committee that wasn't true.
Wow. The human ChatGPT, John Solomon. Thank you, sir. You're the best.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
All right. You should market that, by the way. Just a little pro tip. Coming up, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth hosted top defense officials from Indonesia for a potentially game-changing strategic agreement. Details after the break.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. The United States and Indonesia are in talks recently. Very exciting talks. It's all about the potential military agreement that could give U.S. aircraft expanded access to Indonesian airspace. According to Indonesia's defense ministry, the two sides have been discussing a proposal that would allow U.S. military planes to fly through the country, including possible blanket overflight access. Indonesia has emphasized that any arrangement must respect its sovereignty and comply with national law, even as defense talks between the two countries continue. Joining us now with more is RAV correspondent and the host of Breaking Point, David Zier. David, good morning. So appreciate you being with us. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth hosted Indonesia's defense minister at the Pentagon yesterday to iron out the details. What more can you tell us about that meeting?
Good morning, Emily. We were invited to participate in the cordon, which is a welcoming ceremony for dignitaries. The defense minister of Indonesia arrived at the Pentagon yesterday, but this is a follow-up to the February meeting that Trump had and the historic agreement with the president of Indonesia, Prabowo Subianto, in a historic reciprocal trade agreement. They do about $40 billion a year in commercial deals together. And it's really important, this as a follow-up, because critical minerals that are necessary for our U.S. military are involved. And remember, Indonesia is the strongest military in Southeast Asia. And they're also the largest Muslim country in population in the world, and they joined the BRICS, which is moving away from the U.S. dollar. Those countries in the BRICS, like South Africa and Saudi Arabia and Russia and India and China, they represent 35% of the global economy. So it's important that we keep up these relationships there. But the most important thing, I think, also is the Straits of Malacca are involved, and that's really important, which borders Indonesia. Now, our warships right now are passing through. Our minesweepers are passing through. Our Avenger-class minesweepers, the USS Chief, the USS Pioneer, and also we have littoral combat ships on their way with a minesweeping countermeasure technology that'll probably be in the Persian Gulf in just a couple of days. So it's really critical that we prop up this relationship with Indonesia, and they have got relationship. They're the fourth largest navy in the world as well. So a groundbreaking agreement that Trump signed with the president of Indonesia, and now Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, followed it up with the welcoming of the defense minister here for even more.
Wow, these developments are certainly very exciting. Great to have this relationship with Indonesia. David, just about 30 seconds here before we have to let you go. Walk us through what are the next steps between the U.S. and Indonesia. Any meetings coming up here in the future?
Well, I think there'll be ongoing talks here because China is Indonesia's largest trading partner with exports and imports. They total $135 billion. So it's about threefold over what they do with the United States. And they've got alliances. They're loose alliances with Australia, the 11 Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines, China and Russia. They get armaments. They get some jets, I believe, from France. They're involved with so many countries. And again, we can't ignore the strategic significance of Indonesia's proximity and location. And I think this is probably the beginning of even a more fruitful relationship, a success for the Trump administration.
Yeah, certainly significant. David Zier, thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate your report.
Thank you, Emily.
Coming up, we are headed down to Wall Street for the opening bell and insight into how to hold on to your hard-earned dollars with some common sense. We'll be back with more American Sunrise in just 2 minutes. Stick around.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
line. And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now.
We're about 6 minutes away from the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. We'll, of course, take you there live for that opening bell. As you can see, the futures market looking pretty decent. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all in the green. Really, the only blemish, which is hopefully going to be good for gas prices, is crude oil at the bottom of your screen. It's down, even though it's still much higher than it had been just a couple of months ago. All of this, of course, due to the ongoing situation in the Strait of Hormuz. We'll continue to monitor all of this for you throughout the day. And again, we'll take you to the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange here in just a few minutes. First, though, let's get you over to RAV correspondent Bo Davidson. Bo, good morning.
Thanks, Terrance. Well, I'm here with Julio Gonzalez, founder of Engineered Tax Services and the new president of RAV Espanol. Julio, I want to talk about some bigger picture topics today that will resonate with those watching. You know, under the new leadership in the White House, the American dream seems possible again. Talk about some of the benefits that this administration has given to help achieve the American dream.
I think the biggest one was getting that bill passed in May last year, right? Now we have 103 new tax credits, tax incentives, and more grants available to the Hispanic community. That's been so uplifting. We know that we're doing the tax returns right. We're seeing in our Hispanic Latino community that they're getting triple, quadruple the refunds that they were previously. That's massive. It's
huge.
That's big for them. Now we get the opportunity to put savings funds. The government puts in $1,000 for our children. Wow. I mean, that's been dramatic for our communities.
Well, and there's this mistaken assumption, Julio, that Hispanics don't favor Trump immigration and border policy. And according to Pew Research, 7 in 10 Hispanics support deportation, with almost 80% in favor of deporting those with criminal records or who are a threat. Now, while we know that many of those deported are Hispanic, don't most Hispanics want law and order, or else they wouldn't have come from other countries to establish safety for their families here?
Yeah, you think they left Cuba to come to a community with crime and illegal? I think it's great that most of the Hispanics here, especially Latinos in South Florida, they come here. They worked hard to come here. They work hard to get their green card and then become legal because they want it so desperately. They're leaving communities like Venezuela and all these communist regimes that ultimately were so terrible. And thank God they're here because look how much they, commit to this community, how much they give to the community, how much they lift everything up in this community. And ultimately, they don't want the illegals here. Why not do it the right way?
And speaking of, we know that Democrats are opposed to the Save America Act to get illegals to vote. They pander, but Republicans are for secure ID-based voting, and prominent Hispanic leaders such as Ana Paulina Luna and Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, Bernie Moreno, and others lead the way in pursuit of secure elections. How can more Hispanic voters come to the GOP on this issue, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's awareness, it's education. I think that's what our network is all about, right, is giving them this awareness, giving them this education. They haven't had that forever in this country, right? So now that we have a conservative voice out there for them that's sharing that messaging, they don't know. They're working 24/7.
Right.
They're just trying to be families and try to lift up, right? So they're just trying to make it. We made it easier for them to make it when we passed that tax bill and all the other great benefits of the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah.
But now we ultimately have to get them to have more awareness because they don't necessarily know why they're getting bigger refunds, right? As all of a sudden, we know they're getting triple, quadruple the refunds, but why is that happening? So getting that messaging out there is important.
So you speak to a great message, which is the importance of having a network like Rav Espanol in the marketplace to compete with Telemundo and Univision. Why is that so important, then, that we have an alternative to those networks so they can hear the messaging you're talking about?
Yeah, I think it's vital. They should have both messaging and be able to choose and be able to have awareness. And we're creating that awareness. And I think, listen, the Republican Party has never done a great job reaching out to the Hispanic community. I think they've fell short so many times. You know, it took Trump to bring them in, you know, and have that messaging for them. But we've got to step it up. And maybe that's what we can do here at Real America Voice Espanol is get the RNC to step up and give some resources to get these votes. It's like we're going to become half the population here in the United States. Why wouldn't we concentrate on those votes?
And lastly, Julio, what are your hopes for the people of Cuba who are still suffering under that regime? You came from that area, so I want to know what your hope is for those people. What's your message?
Oh my God, they need freedom. Can you imagine living that way your whole life under communism? Now they don't have water,
right?
They don't have energy. They don't have hospitals because they don't have those two things in place. That, you know, that takeover of Venezuela has cut off some of those resources to them. And and thank God, because maybe now we can open those doors. They're talking about it in the White House, right?
Yeah.
And making sure that we free those people. And God, what a blessing that would be for everyone. So we've got to share that messaging as well here.
Libertad, I think that's the word of the day. Well, thank you so much, Julio. And back to you, Terrance, now for the opening bell, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
All right, we're getting ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. It's set to ring here at any moment, and then we'll get an idea of how the markets are looking on this Tuesday of trading. Again, we'll take you to New York for the opening bell. As the applause is already underway, you hear it, now you see it. And this means the bell is going to ring here in short order, and then we'll see how the markets are looking as those first trades are entered there on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. All right, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take a look. Yep, right on time. The markets are now officially open, and let's take a quick look at our board to see how the stock markets are looking. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ are all up. Just a couple blemishes, as you can see here, with crude oil being the most interesting. It is down, even though the cost of oil is still higher than many of us would like. We'll continue to monitor all of this for you, though, throughout the day. Still to come here on American Sunrise, new polling data shows that most Americans are increasingly in doubt over President Trump and the Trump administration's real goals in Iran. We'll break down the numbers for you and have a discussion after the break.
When the world takes its shots, some break, others rise. From Rachel Holt comes Ammunition in collaboration with Bass Records. Stand against the noise, the hate, the voices trying to tear you down. Every word thrown your way. Fuel to fight back stronger. Scan the QR code and download now on iTunes. Turn pressure into power. Own it today. Only on Real America's Music.
So bring it, knock me, tear me, rock me, mow me down. Roll your words, take your aim and take me out. Keep on shooting, and this
Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry, like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Emily Finn. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We invite you to join the conversation on Getter and Rumble. Time now to take the political pulse of America and the beat today. A new national poll is revealing growing public concern over the war with Iran. According to a CBS News survey, a majority of Americans say the war is not going well, and many believe the U.S. has yet to achieve its main objectives in the conflict, with 62% of responders believing President Trump does not have a clear plan. This includes 19% of Republican voters who say they aren't sure where the president is going with this war, with more than 90% of Democrats and 72% of independents feeling the same way. At the same time, while many Americans are critical of how the war is progressing, there remains little support for leaving Iran's current government in power. Joining us now with analysis is Florida Congressman Jimmy Patronis. Congressman, good morning. Thank you for being with us. What do you make of these results? Do you think the administration has been unclear about its goals?
No, look, getting a denuclearized Iran is not going to happen overnight. I think the president has made it loud and clear that this is the end game. But as he is in a leverage point where there is, impasse with some of the negotiations, then he's going to go after what any business person would go after. We have made an investment. We are securing an area. We have now an opportunity to set up shop. So, if I'm Iran, I would be concerned of what's going to happen to my oil, how that is ultimately going to be a shared revenue now. As they're not wanting to participate in active negotiations. But again, look, J.D. Vance met with these folks in Pakistan. They had to go back to talk to whoever they talked to in whatever cave they came out of to try to get an answer. These answers aren't coming overnight.
Whatever cave they came out of. That is funny. All right, Congressman, let's talk about your week ahead. I mean, it's going to be, I don't know, let's call it a tad busy. You are returning to Washington along with everybody else this week with a full docket. So you got Democrats, they're pushing for this sort of abrupt end to the conflict. They're calling for more limits on the president's military actions. Then you got the DHS funding that's still hanging in the balance. So what are you looking at this week? What are the top priorities? Where are you going to spend most of your time and effort here this week?
Well, I've talked to a few of my common sense senators over the weekend, and there's a lot of frustration amongst the rank and file of the senators of not being able to get the Homeland Security funding across the finish line. I think you're still going to see more pressure put on the Senate to try to make something happen. We cannot continue robbing from Peter to pay Paul to make these salaries work forever. In addition, we're going to be short two more members of Congress as of this week, as two have decided to resign early. They've got other things they need to be worried about on the home front. But you know what? When you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and it's probably the best that they went ahead and tend to their family matters.
All right, so you talked about Eric Swalwell, Tony Gonzalez. Obviously, by now we've talked ad nauseum about the issues surrounding both of them. It brings to mind the word decorum in the U.S. House. How important was it for both of them to go ahead and leave, to step away, in order to give the House more credibility? Again, unfortunately, when you've got two bad apples, it can impact the entire lot.
No, look, I think what you've got is you had two guys that were about to be, exposed in the chamber in ways they have never been exposed before. The quicker that they leave, the more control over the spoken words about them in the official capacity of being a member of Congress. They did the right thing by leaving. This is the quickest way for them to focus on all healing problems out there, whether it be the victims or their own needing to get help for the challenges that obviously they were not able to manage.
Congressman, there is a new political fight erupting on the right over a immigration bill. The proposal, led by Republican Maria Elvira Salazar and supported by some other Republicans, would allow certain migrants to remain in the U.S. legally with work authorization, while supporters say it also includes stricter border enforcement. Where do you stand on this?
Look, Maria is trying to cater to a mixed bag. She is Miami-Dade County. So as she is working this issue, I'll make it clear to everybody, the bill has not been agenda. It is not being heard. It's not going anywhere. But I think she is just doing what she feels is important to her constituents and trying to find a pathway for folks to have a normalized, accessible way to be a legal immigrant going through the immigration process in the United States. So again, I feel for her. I know she's trying to come up with a sensible solution that makes sense in her backyard, but that doesn't play in every main street, and it definitely doesn't play well in Florida's 1st Congressional District.
Congressman, let me get your take on the midterms. Before the president decided to have this military conflict with Iran, it was already looking a little dicey, but we were hearing that let's wait for the big, beautiful bill to come through and let's see where we are in Q3 or quarter two, whatever it is, regarding some of the tax cuts that are coming. So that's all good. But now with this conflict and gas prices, I mean, this just feels like a snowball here. I'm curious to get your take, and what's the best spin here, if you will?
Well, I think sometimes you don't always get to pick when you're going to create a priority for the safety and security of those that we get to represent. The president obviously had intelligence that was showing that we were about to have a concern or an outburst from Iran that could have been loss of U.S. life, European life, allied life. So this is why the reaction had to take place with epic fury the way it did. At the same time, timing's not always something that we get to pick in life. So, we've got a tax year that's about to start. People are about to start their refunds. This is going to create some relief when they get their refunds back because of the tax benefits of the one big, beautiful bill. So there'll be kind of a combination of things. But look, when you try to change the U.S. economy, it doesn't correct overnight, never has. It's like steering a mountain. So, we'll see the benefits from this year's tax refunds. You'll see some challenges as gas prices start to normalize. And hopefully, Iran will see the big picture as these negotiations will try to settle. But unfortunately, these guys have not only been punched in the mouth, they've been pretty much embarrassed on a global stage. They have to put their pride aside, knowing that the rest of the world would like to move on.
So, Congressman, we also want to get your take on growing calls for the president to release government files on UFOs. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, for instance, calling on the president to release these files over the weekend, saying that Americans deserve to know what their government is spending their tax dollars on. Where do you stand on this issue?
Look, I like transparency. Anytime there's an opportunity to vote for greater transparency in life, I've always supported it. If the facts are out there, if the details are out there, the public will come to their own conclusions. So, look, Tim comes from Kentucky. There's a lot of interesting people in Kentucky. I think some of them may be aliens. Tennessee, same thing. You know,
I'm telling him the next time I talk to him. I'm telling him you said that.
Look, it's fun to pick with Tim. Tim is a rare breed. But, you know, I love Tim's fight spirit for transparency. But, yeah, look, the common sense folks of Tennessee and Kentucky, they like to come to Florida because we're normal down here.
I love it. Please, let's record this and let's send this to Congressman Burchett's office.
Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I think
Emily,
there should be a push. No, David, go ahead. You can take the next question.
So if I can just follow up just really quickly, have you seen evidence of UFOs? Do you have you been briefed? Do you have any evidence? Your personal informed perspective on the existence of extraterrestrial life. I'm just curious if you've got anything.
Yeah, look, personally, the closest I've been to UFOs is watching the movie Independence Day. I don't know if they exist. I have not seen them. But if there is any documentation out there that shows contrary, then yeah, release it. It will definitely drive some people to extremes with their, where does this go from next, and reverse engineering technology. Sci-fi movies do a great job of spinning us up. But look, if there's documentation out there, let's go ahead and get it out so the public can move on. I want to save the economy. I want to help people have a nicer household budget, and all these things. You know, they're interesting, but they're also just big distractions to us getting things done we need to get done.
For sure. By the way, 30 seconds or so, but I'm just curious to get your take. Term 1 versus term 2, the president, it's different. It's a different term. I'm curious to get your take as to, I don't know, I was going to say which term you like better. I'm sure you like both of them. But, what do you see as the differences here? I mean, I don't know. It's interesting to me. I kind of like term 1 better than term 2, to be honest with you. Now, having said that, I like a lot of what he's doing in term 2, but I'm curious to get your take.
Yeah, look, he's creating, in my opinion, stability in term 2. In term 1, he was the brand new guy on the block. There was definitely some decisions that he had made. And look, you had an institutional base, and while you had a swamp that fought against him at every single turn. And then for 4 years, even longer than 4 years, he was being weaponized through prosecution through the court system. So now this is why I think he's definitely got a thicker hide. In term 2, he cares about his legacy. He cares about what type of policies he's going to leave. He cares about stopping wars in addition to, I tell people the other day, just the whole outburst with the Pope and stuff. Look, the Pope never said anything with the humanitarian crisis in Venezuela or the thousands that were being killed in Iran. This president does care about saving lives. And sometimes you have to start a war to get rid of a bully who is killing others. So I'm a fan of term 2.
Congressman Jimmy Patronis, we so appreciate you being with us this morning.
See you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? Filed every year but still keep owing? Retired and got hit with a surprise tax bill? Or are you a business owner with a tax bill that you cannot afford? Did you take early money from your 401k and now you owe? However your tax issue started, the result is the same. Your balance is not going down. Penalties grow, interest compounds, and many of you are about to owe again this year with no plan in place. Stop what you're doing and call Tax Network USA. The IRS can garnish wages, levy bank accounts, and even take your home or retirement. With over 15 years in business, they have seen and resolved it all, helping taxpayers nationwide settle over $1 billion in tax debt. Call 800-905-8000. Again, that phone number is 800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com/RAV. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us here on American Sunrise.
At Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry, like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Let's spill some tea.
Let's Spill Some Tea is sponsored by Artillery Tea Company. It's a veteran and family-owned, proudly patriotic company that's built for those who serve. They supply bold, handcrafted, small batch tea, and blends that use top-graded whole leaf tea and biodegradable sachets with no harsh chemicals. Trusted by patriots with over 3,000 4.8-star reviews, Artillery Tea is America's premium patriotic tea. For our RAV listeners today, visit artillerytco.com/RAV and use the code RAVSHIP, that's RAVSHIP, for free shipping on your order. All right, let's get right into what's in the cup today, and that will be Vice President J.D. Vance, who's going to appear alongside Erica Kirk at the Classic Center in Athens today, one of several stops on Turning Point USA's This is Turning Point tour. The event is designed to engage college students in political discussion and continue the mission of the late Charlie Kirk. Organizers say the tour is going to hit multiple college towns across the country. In fact, joining us now with the live look on the ground, is RAV Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn. Brian, good morning. Looks like it's already pretty warm down there in Athens. You got your shirt, you got your jacket off, no tie. I love it. But tell us about what's going on there.
Good morning, Terrance. We have beautiful weather here in Athens, Georgia. We're on the campus of UGA, which later today, Vice President J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk and others will join what to be a big crowd here at UGA to talk about this campus tour. This is one of the stops, Terrance, along this tour. Baylor University, they just wrapped up George Washington University a couple weeks ago, going to Ohio State as well. So this campus tour continues to spread conservatism across college campuses. And I made a quick phone call before I came on the air here to find out if UGA is considered a liberal campus. And my source told me absolutely. So we should have a very interesting crowd here tonight.
And even though it may be a liberal campus, there seems to be an appetite for conservative values, or at least a discussion about these conservative values that obviously many of the students there will hear from the Vice President and Erica Kirk today.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Before Turning Point USA, I'm a little older than most people probably. Well, maybe not, but as far as when we were in college, Terrance, we didn't have organizations like Turning Point coming to our campus to talk about alternative political views. It was just whatever the view was of the campus, that's all you heard. But Turning Point really has reshaped young minds in terms of how they think and how they want to vote in the future. You got Turning Point Action, of course. Turning Point USA of really doing a fantastic job of introducing the youth of America to this conservative mindset of pro-life, pro-family, pro-USA voting values. And I think you're going to see a tremendous outpour of support today on this campus. Now, I will note there's some demonstrations planned from Democrat parties here on the campus, organizations, I should say. They plan to protest as well. But other than that, we just have a little bit of police presence around the campus here as Clark County has their officers out in full force. We'll be here today, all day, kind of giving you live reports from this campus.
Absolutely. Brian, before I let you go, I want to talk about Eric Swalwell, Tony Gonzalez. Of course, they are both leaving Congress amid some legal issues and some allegations against them. What do you make of all of that?
Well, I think my source is telling me that both Speaker Johnson and Hakeem Jeffries have made a deal, kind of a one-for-one, if you will. And I think Congressman Petronas earlier said they have spared their conference a little bit of an embarrassment of having to vote against one of their colleagues, and also without hearing all of the evidence on the House floor, very embarrassing moments for both those individuals. Now, I do expect, Terrance, more high-profile either a senator and another congressman from the Republican Party also being dragged into this pressure to step down from office. I think a lot of that will develop a little bit later today, as there's many members of the Republican Party and the Democrats that are under House ethics investigation. This is just two that have come out so far, so stay tuned on that.
All right, Brian, I've got to ask, are you prepared to name names at this point? I've got to ask.
I don't, because, I knew you were going to ask, and to save our network any potential lawsuits, I'd rather that come out officially public than me dragging someone's name throughout the airwaves. But there is House investigations on several people for ethic violations, personal things. So we'll see how that comes out. We'll be here all day, Terrance, right here on the campus of UGA.
Absolutely. Brian Glenn reporting there in Athens, Georgia, a warm Athens, Georgia. And Brian, you're right. The information will come out in the moment it does become public. We'll be reporting on any other issues there within the House or Senate. Thanks so much, Brian. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Coming up, our very own David Brody standing by with the top story that he's keeping his eye on today. I can't wait for this one. I've been looking forward to this story for 2 hours now. The one to watch after the break.
Control. They call it peace, they call it help. Funny how it costs your soul. They want silence, they want calm, they want you numb, they want you gone.
At Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
When it's breaking,
We're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. Guys, here's the one I'm watching today. As we always say, the one to watch, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's announced this class of 2026. Some of music's biggest names finally getting the call. Legendary acts include Iron Maiden. I don't know what that was. That was weird. Oasis, Billy Idol, Phil Collins are among this year's inductees. Joining a diverse class that also includes Wu-Tang Clan, Sade, Joy Division, and the late Luther Vandross. Sorry, what did I say? Vandross? Sorry, T. Bates. For some, like Phil Collins, by the way, this is a return to the Hall. Of course, he was inducted with Genesis, but now he's back. Emily, I just want to let you know, I have dedicated this story to you. I have, just like I've dedicated this whole show to your mom, but I picked this story because you are the rock and roll expert, so go for it, Emily.
Wait. What does Iron Maiden sound like again, David? That's exactly what it is. My mother says that's what...
food. Sorry, go ahead.
There you go. My mother says that's what my rock and roll music sounded like all throughout growing up. That's what she heard from my room. That's hilarious. No, congratulations.